Hello, and welcome back to The Coco Show, hosted by myself, Colette Creighton, and my co-host, David Schwartz. This is a show where the banter at the top of the episode never ends, and neurodivergent or not, we are here to make you feel less alone about your human experience. We have no expectations, and neither should you.
You are listening to another fine episode of
The Coco Show. Today, we have Molli back on the podcast, our first guest back that we have had thrice, and it is her first time in the actual studio. So in tandem, welcome and welcome back. As a refresher, her episodes are Venus in Scorpio and Woo Woo Babe. If you haven't already, please listen to those first and in that order, and then meet us back here. For those who followed those directions...
Which was maybe one person.
Know that this delightful little firecracker is a practicing astrologer and has chatted with us about everything from birth charts to tarot readings. She brings so much knowledge to the Coco Show, and we are grateful to have her here in our space. Anyways, expect us to float around a lot today, but the genus of the conversation is going to be about our Saturn returns. If you heard Matthew mention Saturn return in our past episode, Suffering from the Human Condition and Bunch of Witches, and you still don't really understand what that means, that's cool, because me either. Beyond knowing that it happens between your 28th and 30th year, I know nothing. Anyways, before we get into the weeds, as always, ye fucking hoes and hyperfixation time.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it, brother.
Well, my ye fucking is I was able to move my whole ass Mexico trip so I can make it to David's 10-year
anniversary
party
of Orion Entertainment. Yes, literally, probably, I would say that that's the most effort anyone has gone to RSVP yes to this fine affair, but Ricarius is coming from New York.
Yeah, well,
so I think, shout out to Ricarius.
And the fit I would have thrown if I found out that Ricarius was at this party and I wasn't. I would have thrown myself onto the ground.
Yeah, we wouldn't want that.
No, so it's honestly for the best that I did this, and we're actually going to be staying in a nicer hotel. And
our lovely sponsor, The Coco Show.
Is going to be the bathrooms.
The Coco Show Potties.
Poddy's.
Will be there for everyone to enjoy. And we thank you so much for sponsoring this party. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Core Party Rental, BBJ Tavola. There's more in the works.
We live, laugh, love you.
Yes, thank you so much. We are so excited to celebrate with everyone in Seattle. And at the Coco Show Potties, there is going to be one of these beautiful microphones here set up for you guys to come and just leave little messages and talk
love
about
notes
to Orion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your fave entertainment business in the greater Seattle area, willing to travel.
We've turned 10. We're double digits, baby.
It's so beautiful.
Boo, boo, boo.
Okay, circling back, my hyperfixation has actually been two different content creators, Maddie Mitchell, and she's so fucking funny. She just makes lists on her iPhone and then recaps them in like green screen mode. And my two favorites are Things That Are None of My Business and Certified Jump Scares. She's just like a hoot. I love her deadpan persona. Nice. I actually want to make one of just like the dumb things that I say. I'll credit her. Obviously, I'm not a thief, but God bless you, Maddie Mitchell. You've made me giggle many a night when I should be asleep. And the other content creator I've been obsessed with is Derek Gerard, and he has this library show that he does on YouTube, and it's hysterical, and they have to whisper the whole time, and I love him, and he's hot, and I like his mullet, and he is such a queer baiter, and it's so funny.
LOL.
LOL. Okay, anyway, check it out. 5 stars to both of them.
Like and subscribe.
David?
Also, shout out to all the, 22 5-star ratings we have on Spotify. Thank you guys for doing that.
We live, laugh, love you.
I swear I didn't do it. I don't think I did one. Did you do one?
No.
I mean, it's okay if we did one. Like,
Just
we listened to
I
the
didn't
pod.
write a review, but obviously I made myself 5 stars.
Beautiful. Yeah.
5
Gorgeous.
stars.
I think I did
Yeah.
too. I hope I did. If
Yeah.
not,
I mean,
if
if
not, we
not-
will have 23. So.
Yeah. You have the floor though.
Well, ye fucking hot to Kevin fucking Carthy losing his job today. That was fucking hilarious. Democrats are the only party that can actually govern. So let's just only vote Democrat. At least next year, okay? Next year, after that, y'all do what you want to do. We'll see.
It was funny though, I do want to mention, because for whatever reason there was one TV at the gym playing CNN, and I was if depending on what's on the TV, if it's a sports ball thing, I'll kind of pay attention a little bit because I love Dan, and if there's something fucking liberal leaning politically on, I'll pay attention because I love David. So I'm watching.
I'm an independent, okay?
I
That's all
know,
I'm
but I
saying.
mean like CNN or whatever. Just like if it's not Fox News, essentially is what
Facts.
I'm saying. I'll pay attention enough.
They have none of them.
And I was watching it flip back and forth, and then I saw the thing about McCarthy, and I text David immediately, and I go, how big is your political boner right now?
I was like, I didn't even know what she was talking about, but I knew that if she knew it was a big deal, that it must have been a big deal, and I knew that this could be the only thing that was a big deal. But I didn't actually think they'd oust him. I thought they'd be like voting now or something. And the
Pretty
even
wild.
crazier news is he's not going to run again, which I thought that motherfucker was just going to keep making people vote for him over and over and over again like they did last time.
And he tweeted
So-
like "Bring it on" or something. So
Yeah,
it
he
was like
literally,
that.
the last thing he tweeted before he got kicked out of his fucking job was "Bring it on," and they smacked his ass down. It was pretty iconic. So
Why is the picture, or I guess GIF you could call it, in my head, Michael Scott rolling up in his convertible? It's Britney, bitch.
also, you fucking hot.
That's the Democrats.
I'm done with. I can't double. There's so many crazy things happening in the news right now. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers. Like, it's honestly pretty entertaining. But
Yeah, but you hit your news limit. So let's
yeah,
move on.
for real. Thank you. I agree. Hyper fixated on search engine optimization right now. SEO, baby.
yeah.
Blogging. And, well, I just have ideas right now, but we're going to put them into action.
He's blogging like a 2007 housewife, and I love it.
I pray that I do. Yes. It needs to be done. So,
Dear
but my
Mr.
dear
Royal
new
Hampton.
blogging team that we are working with is cranking out stuff too, and so hopefully I have help. Is
Blessings.
yes,
Blessings. All right, Molly.
Molly.
Yeah, okay. Hyperfixation, working out. Like
Yeah.
just movement,
Yeah.
flowing. I'm trying to get there, get back my momentum. What is it? My Venus is in Aries, and the North Node is on top of that, as well as Eris. So it's like kind of like a glow up a little bit. So I'm just gonna like focus on that, keep that. What's my yeehaw? Being home, moving back to the I should say the greater Seattle area.
Welcome.
Yeah, back home, no longer on the eastern side of the state. So
We're pleased to have you back.
yeah, very happy. I was going to say too, you mentioned your blogging. You have a Mercury return coming. So that's like when there's like lots of juices flowing. Also like very heady, very cerebral. Yeah, lots of like
Been
mental
feeling
downloads.
very like yes.
You're feeling
all
the
that.
applying energy of that.
Yes.
It's going
and
to,
I also have more time.
yeah, there you go.
So that I didn't have before. And it's like this week, I think I only have one event that I personally have to do. So it's like we have a pretty busy weekend, but I have more time
That's good.
and I'm not as exhausted.
Take that space.
Amazing.
Short and sweet. But yeah, that's hyper fixating on movement, keeping the flow, and then just like reveling and being back home.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it's nice.
I love that. You know, I think it's really important to move your body, and that is exactly what I'm going to say to you because you guys know the drill, and it's time for a little dancey dance break. So to move energy, you gotta move your body.
Move your body, everybody. Move your body. Come on now, everybody. Move your body. You are listening to a freaky deaky episode of
The Coco Show.
Y'all better be dancing in those cars.
I know that's where you're listening.
In
or
the shower.
doing the dishes.
Where do you think is the weirdest
Ignoring
place
your
somebody has
family.
ever listened to this podcast?
A closet.
Not for long.
Yeah, not if you're listening to
You'll
this.
be running the fuck out of there.
You'll be like, hello, family.
hello, bisexual lighting. The voice crack.
Oh, welcome back. Let's get into it. All right, Molly. She's over here lighting some Hollywood.
Yes.
Also known as Palo Santo.
Not Hollywood. Very different.
Not Hollywood.
Holly is a very different plant entirely.
Yeah. Nope, I'm not gonna go on a side quest about that random story. Anyway, first question.
Great self-control, Coco.
Thank you. She's learning. What is your understanding of the concept of Saturn return?
So the concept is that there is this celestial body, this wanderer that's coming back to the same place it was when you burst into the universe, when you were born. And it creates a little bit of constricting, restrictive, kind of a karmic energy. So it's just something that happens every 29.5 years when the planet like Saturn completes its orbit around the sun and returns to the same place it was when you were born.
So will we have 2 Saturn returns in our lives if we're lucky?
You will. Yeah. Like, so 20, it could be early too. It could be like 28, but yeah, 29 to like 30. And then again, when you're like 54 and then even later, like in your 80s. There's also some other things other than a return because a return is a Saturn conjunct blending with your Saturn. So there's also a Saturn square, which is when they like square off and when they oppose, but we won't get into that right now. We'll just stick to the return. No algebra. Yeah. 90-degree angles, 180-degree angles. Yeah, that is a thing. Yeah.
Cool. What is the astrological like significance?
Yeah. Well, it's significant. It's like this karmic lesson. Okay. So the significance is like astrologically, Saturn is from the naked eye, we can see Saturn. It's like duller than the other planets. That's why it's kind of known to be this like duller, more like melancholic energy. So like in terms of our perspective, like we see when the ancients were like observing the stars, they were seeing Saturn as the limit, the furthest like out it goes. That's why it's seen as like the boundary before you get to the transpersonal planets, which you can't see without a telescope. So that's kind of like the application of how like us perceiving the stars and their cycles, like how we kind of get these symbolic correlations, if that makes sense.
Okay, so
sum it up.
The energy of Saturn is kind of more like
it's really
chiller.
Yeah, it's like, well, it can be really like, again, it's a boundary, right? So it's when we are reassessing boundaries, when we're reevaluating the things that are like limiting us and hindering us. So we're like really meeting those things like head on.
Finding out what fits.
We're 29. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like finding out like where we want to align ourselves, like what authorities we want to align ourselves with, what structures we want to align ourselves with, and like, yeah, how we want to better establish boundaries. And when you're 29, it kind of, you get like smacked in the face with these limitations and these like very serious Saturnian matters, getting married, quitting your job, becoming a parent, that kind of, you're like, no thanks. Me too, Coco.
I mean, all of this really resonates with me. I feel like, and I hope any young human listening to this knows that I feel like my life actually started like the day I turned 30.
Yeah.
So 30 is the end?
No, I feel like it started.
Of your Saturn's return. 30 is the marker day that says your Saturn's return is over.
Well, it's like 29 and a half years, so okay. I guess it's up to...
But no, I feel that. That's so true for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you were reborn in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I would agree. Your life has changed so much since then.
So much.
It's kind of insane. Yeah.
And I'm so much fucking happier.
Yeah, true.
Well, you're Saturn in Aquarius. So you had it like March 20th, 2020 was when Saturn moved into Aquarius.
Okay.
Which on a collective level, like we know what was happening.
Yeah.
And it like turned every structure that we have into this very Aquarian thing, which is like very much like podcasting, very much being online. It's like, it's a community thing, but like online. It's very like moving the collective in a progressive direction, like Saturn and Aquarius. So like containers that are like
Not progressive enough.
well, like we're wanting to move in that like direction, hopefully. And you're in your Saturn return right now.
Hell
David.
yeah. I feel it. I'm being pulled.
Well, and you
Yes.
already have the container, the structure of Orion Entertainment.
Yeah, just getting a little bit deeper. And it's like, so, and that's the thing too with the whole 10 years. It's like, holy shit, okay, 10 years, new website, like a lot of investment in the company right now, a lot of great team. Like, we're really pulling in some heavy hitters, and I'm super excited about the direction we're heading in. Like,
I'm so fucking stoked.
it's so crazy. Like, as time just goes on, like 10 years is a long time. And like, it's just crazy to me.
It'd be interesting to see the like chart or blueprint of when you launched Orion Entertainment, like what was Saturn in when that happened, you know, can give you a little guidance in your own
That would have
business.
been
Same with the
10
Coco Show.
Well, I feel like I actually came up with the idea. I don't have a date for Orion on a public bus somewhere in Seattle.
Yeah.
I just remember riding the bus and thinking about, like, oh, it's going to be Orion Entertainment.
How old were you again? 10 years?
19.
Wow.
19 probably when I actually formed the company. I was 19 the moment. I think it was on my 19th birthday.
Early bloomer.
Because I had to be 18 when I was in high school. Because I'm pretty sure I voted for the first time in high school. So I was 19 when the day after I turned 19 was when I had the idea to become a DJ, and then I didn't incorporate for another month, but it was right around then.
So interesting.
It was very fast.
Yeah, that is really soon. Like 19s, that's a...
Well, like,
young
or
age.
from ideation to like, I'm getting a business license. It was very quick.
Oh, wow.
And I very much was like, all right, we're doing this and we're going to make it official. But yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
I love it.
How do you interpret the symbolism of Saturn in relation to Saturn return?
I mean, the symbol itself like looks like a little, it's like a T with like so I'm just thinking like literally like the symbol of it is like a little throne. It's almost like taking life serious. Like I think about somebody sitting on like a throne, sitting on like a place of establishment, and just really getting serious about life, you know? Like I just think about that.
I am getting married this year.
Oh, there you go. Magical. Yeah, it's just all about like discipline and responsibility and that hard work you have to put in once you like really enter adulthood. And yeah, I think we really start to feel it once you start to like break that threshold into 30, like you were saying.
Right. So like it can be seen as an opportunity for like psychological growth.
Oh yeah.
Healing.
Yeah, definitely. Just like a really introspective.
But is it a transformative period? Is that what you would say?
Absolutely. And it's going to be different for everybody, right? Like depending on what house your Saturn is in personally, what sign it's in, how it's aspecting the other planets and dancing with the other planets in your chart. So it's all going to tell a story within your specific blueprint. But yeah, absolutely. It's very much like the serious business. They don't call him Sky Daddy Saturn for no reason.
Do you have, and it's okay if you totally don't, do you know if there are any like practices or techniques that can be helpful in like facilitating that process?
I think it'd be really different for like my Saturn's in Capricorn, yours is in Aquarius, yours is in Pisces. So it's going to look differently for each of us, especially like how it shows up. I think like Coco, yours is in... It's going to be very different for everybody. But I would say like with Saturn, they call it like doing your Saturn. Like you have to really evaluate like what are you not taking responsibility or accountability for in your life is a good question to ask yourself during your Saturn return. And, you know, what do you need to do there in order to, you know, really embody that like responsible, serious, hardworking archetype, you know? And I think it's going to be different for everybody. Like for me, I really have to ground just knowing I'm a double Gemini. So knowing how my chart is, like I'm very fluttery. So like giving myself a grounding practice, making sure I'm like, again, like being really active and fit and just like moving so that I can feel grounded. Because if I don't get that out, I mean, that's good for everybody, right? Like movement, like you tell your listeners, you know? But yeah.
Gotta move the energy.
But yeah, I think it's really different. I think for like Saturn and Pisces, like they would need kind of a spiritual practice, something that really like brings them or like something that where they can have outlet to be of spiritual service to others. It's very interesting. You're always like operating in weddings, which is such a spiritual thing. And like
constantly.
Yeah. And then Coco, like Saturn in Aquarius is so much like it's such a podcaster like placement, like something that needs to like communicate, something that keeps you like very much like cerebral, something that'll calm your nervous system too, because like you could be prone to have like a really active nervous system with that Saturn in Aquarius and being a Gemini moon like myself, like we're both Gemini moons. And then my Saturn in Cap. Yeah, I just need like a lot of structure and security. And the way I do that, I suppose, is, just making sure I'm taking care of my actual physical body.
In relation to that also, do you feel like Saturn return can like relate to issues of self-identity and self-esteem even?
Yeah, especially if you have like a Saturn in Aries, like, because that's so much about the self Aries is, and the courage that you have to embody. Like Saturn, I'm saying like your Saturn Aquarius, your Saturn in Pisces, like we all have these different placements and ways Saturn like kind of is dressed or shows up. But it's definitely about that, like self-evaluating and just like really looking over what you're maybe not doing, like the work you're not doing, essentially. Did I answer that question?
Kind of.
Go back.
Is there like a role, like the occult, like general blanket statement speaking, that can like play in like navigating these issues?
Oh my gosh. Visualizing a protective boundary around you is like such, we've talked about this before, but just being, and it's different for everybody, whether it's like a bubble or whether you're building like just the visualization of like a structure around you, whether it has like doors or windows, whether those windows are open, like that visualization practice before you go out into the world.
Can have very positive psychological benefits.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Like placebo works, like we know that. And so there's science in just like really practicing.
I think we talked a little bit about like putting protection on your house as well, like envisioning a shield on your front door, and like it looks like whatever you want it to, but that, like entering that space and kind of seeing that color and how it makes you feel when you think of it too.
It's so beautiful asking people too what their boundary, like what it looks like, because we all have these edges that are further out than our physical body, and Saturn is about structures, right? Your physical body, the structure of your home, the structure of your business, like what does that container look like, and how can you cast like protection around these structures that mean a lot to you? I'd be curious to know like what your guys' psychic protection practice looks like.
I have a shield on the front door. She glows blue, and it's got a Star of David on it.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love
Magen
it.
David. It was like a shield.
Yeah.
That's what it means,
Absolutely.
I think. Am I wrong on that? The shield of David. That's what Magen David actually translates to, literally.
You're much more Jewish than my love. Mine looks like a legitimate bubble. Like, think,
shield of David.
envision.
I love it.
SpongeBob, like that, like Aurora Borealis-y,
like opaque,
it's
it's
translucent, it's sheer, but it's like pinkish, like baby purpley-ish. It's all like
Glinda the Good Witch bubble.
Very that.
Yeah, I'm taking that from Jessica Lanyadoo, who's an astrologer. She tells people to like imagine the bubble and like
it does help when I remember to do it. It does.
That's the trick, man. We should just text each other and be like, hey, have you put any protective spells on yourself today?
Hey, have you thought about your bubble today?
I think about your bubble.
Have you thought about your bubble? It's a thing that's easy to forget. I did some yoga before, and I was doing some like visualization.
Oh, dude. That's what I said I was going to do this week. Some fucking yoga. You know what I haven't done this week? Some fucking yoga.
Yeah,
I need to do some yoga.
I need to do some stretches.
Stretch it out, queen.
Everyone go do yoga.
Everyone go do yoga.
Very good for you.
And David, stop. Okay, he's done. He's done.
I brought snacks for the sweeties.
About the crinkling. You guys will be okay. Just a little squinkle of ASMR that you didn't ask for.
What is
Costco, baby.
Yeah. Costco.
Raspberry lemonade, eh?
Not sponsored. Should be sponsored.
Pure
Costco.
organic.
Add it to the fucking list.
Pure organic. Please sponsor us. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, getting back on track. How can a person prepare themselves mentally and emotionally for their Saturn return?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you could ask that about any astrological transit, right? Like, how do you prepare? And like, do you want to know ahead of time? Some people don't want to know about transits ahead of time. Like, I'll answer that question, but do you guys like knowing what the astrological weather is ahead of time?
I think I have so little control over most things in the universe that I try not to even put any thought towards it.
Yeah.
It's like, it'll happen.
Yeah. So there's that. Like,
I'm along for the ride.
You can know that you're going to have these like, restrictive kind of hindering aspects, which can help knowing like that it's going to be rainy that day or it's going to, what.
If the universe wanted to, it would.
If you wanted to, we would. Hey, sometimes people are in the middle of a Saturn return and they can't because they're on the floor.
No, I'm saying if the universe wanted to, it
yeah,
would.
Yeah,
that's our like. If they wanted to, they would.
Yeah,
that's our like.
That's what we've been
mantra.
saying to each other.
Like, and so I'm just putting that one out there.
Yeah.
I think
like
that
you're
tracks.
you're exactly where you need to be essentially.
Yeah.
So like no need to force it. But yeah, like knowing that you're going to be going through some like really tough transits, specifically this one, Saturn return is a big one that everybody knows about. There's absolutely ways. Like if you're, what are you not taking responsibility of? So if you can ask yourself and like really write some things down and evaluate what it is you're ignoring, an astrologer can help you look at your Saturn and say, like, show you what house it's in, show you. So that would be an actual tangible way to be like, how can I move through this better? And how is this going to impact me? But I mean, there's always going to be the chaos of a full moon that you can't really prepare yourself for, you know? And it also depends on.
I think I
your
love
chart.
the different energies of different like just times. Like that's such a vague thing to say, but like just the energy that you get at Halloween, or like, you know, even in a non-astrological sense, it's like different times of the year things are shifting. Like I would say my perception of most of this stuff is probably more seasonal than anything else.
Astrology
but
is
it is
all
seasons.
based on the
It's all the
seasons.
seasons.
Yeah, it's all
and we can
direct.
feel that, you know.
Yeah.
And just change as well. Like your girl's autumnal. Right?
Scorpio,
like,
King.
yeah. Well, the Colette did my hair this week.
Yeah.
Oh,
We did
the
nice,
little like nice
copper
yeah.
flex, I think. it was.
Copper flex. I love that. So there are always many weird little quirky quips that hairdressers like to say. They like to give hair colors like campy names, and Devin clowns on me because I fucking hate that they're calling it cowboy copper now, because it's just like a natural looking copper and it's gorgeous, and I've been doing it forever.
Nice.
And now everybody wants cowboy copper. So you know what I fucking gave David accidentally on purpose? Perfect cowboy
On purpose.
I'm
copper.
going to fade like an autumn leaf.
It's gonna be so delicious
I will.
and refreshing.
So delicious.
Decompose and become compost.
Become one with the
My
earth.
worms
So
are
Scorpio.
doing fantastic.
Oh,
by
yeah,
the way.
we
the
have
worms
not-
on the left so much happier than the worms on the right. I don't know why, but like every time I open it up, they're all like, like I can hear them getting after it, but like the other worms, they're like,
He doesn't even
peeps.
get it.
Scorpio is all about like
I missed what you said.
transformation. Oh, what did you say?
The ones on the left are happy, and the ones on the right aren't.
Oh well, yeah,
That
there you
wasn't
go.
on purpose.
Yeah, well, left is best.
Freudian slip. Just kidding.
What were you saying, Molly?
That you being really into the regeneration process of compost is scorpionic in itself.
Yeah.
Scorpionic.
Well, I am great at decomposition. I'm terrible at being a plant dad. Unfortunately, my mint is deceased. Actually, there's signs of life, but it is. Guys,
You left
who
it
kills
outside.
mint? I killed
That
mint.
You
stuff
left
is
it
so
outside.
strong.
What?
And you left it outside.
Yeah, probably. I think I left for a few days. It got plant rot, and then I was like, "Oh, I need to spray something on this," and then I
No.
never went to the store.
No, it's just because it got
really
root
sad,
rot because
guys.
it rained, and you
I
didn't take
raised
it
him
out.
from a little seedling thing. I was so proud of him. He got so big, and then he just fucking died. And I thought it was so sad.
It is sad.
Plant rot, and he just fucking died. How do you stop that from happening?
You bring it inside when the seasons change.
Oh, the season
Got
had-
waterlogged.
Oh, it was too hot.
Oh, it was.
No?
It got too much water in it.
Oh, you're totally right.
I know.
But he only lived in water for a while.
It's different
was
once
fine.
it's in soil.
They're so
So
persnickety.
crazy. Plants
Listen,
are crazy things.
They are.
I do not understand.
Dan
that.
showed me.
Great at decomposition.
Dan showed me the funniest fucking tweet, and it was like, if I go into a girl's house on a first, like after a first date, and I see that she's got a bunch of fucking plants, it's immediately a green flag because she's willing to care for a bunch of fucking useless things. And so, what's one more?
They're not useless. They cleanse
So
the air.
what's one more facts? But yes, that's hysterical.
That is true, though. Lots of energy output for those babies.
And I was like,
It
screaming.
takes a degree to grow a plant. I'm sorry. I know
Or,
I can't do it.
Or just,
Or just Colette telling you exactly what to do and when to do it.
well, I learned in the panini because I had nobody to groom, so I needed to take care of something.
Yeah.
So plants it was. And somehow now I have like 70 something.
These plants are doing better than any other plant I've ever
You can take a selfie with the sign at the 10-year party, by the way.
Oh, yay.
And
That's
you should.
exciting.
You should. You should. Okay. Anyways.
Hey, we'll
Jesus.
jump around. We're Gemini moons. We jump around. We
We're
tangent.
just jumping around.
It's all right.
It's not a big deal. You're here along for the ride, all right?
All right.
Come on. Let's go.
All right, Linda.
Oh, I love it.
Do you think Saturn return is more significant than some people than others based on their birth chart, or are there other factors that can also play a part?
Yeah, definitely think that, like, I also think, like, certain placements, like, for some individuals, like, say you're our generation, well, my generation, like Saturn in Capricorn, and you are a Capricorn, Pluto's in Capricorn right now, so you've just endured excuse me. Oh, hi, puppers.
She's on camera. That's the
She
best
is?
part.
Oh, good. Hi, sweet bean.
You can hear her fucking
She's
tail
so cute.
thumping.
That's Rainier.
But yes, absolutely. I think I said it earlier, but like your placement of your Saturn, how it's aspecting and dancing with the other planets, celestial bodies. Do you want to go say hi to your papa? It makes a big difference. Yeah. So like, for instance, somebody who's like a Capricorn and has their Saturn in Capricorn, like my generation, they're going to then get hit with another hard transit with Pluto. So like Pluto is in Capricorn right now, and just like, that's the planet of destruction, like transformation, decomposition. So like they'll get hit harder because of the sign that it's in, and then they'll get hit again with another transit. So yeah, or like the people who, there's a generation that's Saturn in Scorpio, and they have the South Node conjunct their Scorpio, and South Node is shit you need to let go of. South Node energy is like, bye puppers. Yeah, it's just like things you need to leave behind. So if you're trying to do your Saturn, which is, you want to incorporate that and do the work of that Saturn placement, and it's conjunct something you need to leave behind, it's going to be harder. So I feel bad for those like people who have Saturn in Scorpio and it's conjunct their South Node. For those who speak the language of astrology, South Node's just like, leave it behind, let it go, past life energy. We talked about the South Node in your guys' synastry a little bit.
We should go back and listen to the other episodes before we listen to this one.
I have the notes too from it.
I did actually
That's smart.
do that.
That's
Prepared.
smart. Nice.
Prepared queen. Yeah, hopefully that answered. But yeah, definitely makes a difference. See an astrologer if you can, watch some videos online if you can, read some books on Saturn returns if you can.
Do you have any suggestions, or should I just link them?
I can give you the links after. That might be easier. Yeah, cool. Stephen Forrest is the author. That's really palatable. Like, he's good for beginners, and he's also like, but awesome. I'll give you the books. Mm-hmm.
How does the Saturn return relate to the concept of fate or destiny?
Yeah. So like, because remember how I mentioned it was like the one that was furthest, like the farthest out that we can see with the naked eye.
Yes.
So like the boundaries and limits. So there's like it's like the end kind of. So it's like this karmic limit. It teaches us about our limitations. And so in terms of, just repeat kind of what you said again though, just so I'm like.
How does it relate to the concept of fate or destiny?
Yeah. So when you're dealing with this karmic planet Saturn, and you are dealing with all these Saturnian cycles, it's going to, whether or not you do that Saturn, whether or not you decide to integrate that energy and do the work and work hard, it's going to have a major impact on the trajectory of your life. If you aren't doing that work, if you aren't evaluating like what structures you want to, associate yourself with, what authorities you want to give your power away to, So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Do you think it's wise that people make big changes during their Saturn return?
I mean, I quit my job of 5 years during my Saturn return.
Okay.
And Saturn returns are almost like you can't avoid the big decisions sometimes, and they just kind of happen to you. I think that's a part of the Saturn return is like things are they're just going to kind of happen, and you just have to roll with that and try to embody that, that really strong, deep, archetype that Saturn represents, Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any knowledge on how different occult traditions or belief systems view Saturn return?
Yeah, I mean, I know that like some people see, like it depends on kind of what lens you look through it. Like it's known as Chronos, like the father time. So like the Greek, I mean, a lot of astrology is based off of like this Greco-Roman influence. So like, yeah, there's just a lot of different perceptions, but I don't dive too deep. I kind of stick to the more like Western astrological lens, tropical astrological lens.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got a little lost because you said Chronos and then Father Time, and then I realized that that's what we use at work as our like timekeeping thing.
They
and
do make watches, yes.
And I was
Chronos,
like, no.
Don't they?
Not timekeeping thing like that, like the thing we punch in and out of.
Is called Chronos?
It's called Chronos.
Yeah, because Chronos is like the Greek god of time. Like, yeah,
that is a very clever company name.
Yeah, definitely. Or like Mercury Coffee makes a lot of sense in this area because Mercury is the messenger spirit, and it's also like really like chatty and communicative, and so it's all about like, you know, energizing you, kind of.
That's the one that had the little
has a little winged guy with the flying.
Yeah.
Mercury is known as the messenger spirit that flutters, you know, to and fro, like the above and the below. It kind of goes between worlds. So like when I was mentioning he has a Mercury return coming up tomorrow, Mercury moves into Libra, which this will be airing later than that. So we'll already be in that energy, but that'll be like that kind of energy presenting more. Like, so there's a Mercury return too. You have like Mercury returns, your birthdays, your solar return, that kind of thing. Saturn returns is 29. So yeah, we have all a Venus return. You know, everybody's got it. Like you had Venus.
How does that like kind of play with? Is that so? Is the kind of point here is that Saturn is one of the most powerful forces? So like it kind of takes precedence over the other transits that are taking place.
It's harder, right? Like it's serious. It's kind of can be for the shadow side of Saturn. It can be like melancholy, depressed, sad. It's like energetically, it's like brown, and it's even the dullest star. Like Venus, like shows up in the sky. Mars is super bright and red. You can see it. So like we as the ancient spirits, when they were looking at the stars, were like gave that kind of symbolic correlation to Saturn of like, oh, it's dull, it's out there, it's the farthest limit. So yeah, I mean, you absolutely, yeah. I always just go so far. My Gemini moon just takes me on a tangent away from what you originally asked. But yeah, Saturn's the hardest for sure. Like Venus is yummy and delicious and beautiful, and it's your values. You know, Mercury's going to make you maybe want to blog a little bit more, or like really get your kind of administrative stuff down. So depending on these, and like on your solar return on your birthday, like depending on, you know, what season you're born in, like you might feel a little more like Leo season, like they love to celebrate themselves, right? They shine. But yeah, so yeah, it's because it's the hardest. Yeah, Pluto transits as well are incredibly difficult because they have to do with regeneration and transformation, so that can be tricky. So yeah, great question.
Cool.
How can someone use their Saturn return as an opportunity for transformation and healing?
Ooh, well, yeah, I mean, those hard times, like, you know, the phrase "no mud, no lotus." It's essentially like, I mean,
I've heard shit like it.
Yeah, like if you don't go through the muck, if you don't
no rain, no flowers.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like if you can't go through that, like, or I posted this today. It was like a dahlia, like as you
I saw that.
Yeah, as it's blooming, like it contracts down and it comes back up, and that is Saturnian energy. It contracts. Like Jupiter's like expansion. They call them the regulators, Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter's like, yeah, expansion, and the Saturnian energy is contraction. You need both. Sometimes you need to like pull back and be reserved, like Saturnian energy calls you to. And Jupiter is great. Like we love optimism. We love like open energy. We love a little bit of that breath and openness that Jupiter brings. But sometimes Rick Levine always says, an astrologer, like too much of a good thing isn't necessarily a good thing. So yeah, Saturn is a hard one, but
certainly take things out of whack.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, hopefully, yeah, did that answer?
I think so.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Do you feel like you can use other like occult practices for that opportunity for transformation or healing?
Yeah. I mean, I think like the visualization I mentioned earlier, like that, just like that meditative kind of time. I think anytime you can take time to slow and go within yourself is going to help your Saturn return, you know, just like really slowing down. And
how does Saturn's return affect your sexuality?
Ooh, I mean, if you've got Saturn, I do know somebody who has Saturn in their 8th house, and I feel like they limit themselves and hinder themselves when it comes to like sex sometimes. 8th house is sex and shared resources. It's scorpionic as well, 8th house. Every sign has an associated house, and every sign has an associated planet, by the way. Just a little note there for y'all.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, it depends. So like if your Saturn is in your 8th, like it's going to impact that area of life, that house more. Like, where's my Saturn? It's in my 1st house. So it has more to do with like rising into my persona, and like really I'm having to work on that. Like it's hard for me to just like, I'm here though. I'm here.
What house is my Saturn in?
Let's see. I think it's your, let's see here. Ooh, yours is also in your first, and it is your Saturn return at 5 degrees. Right now, today, collectively, Saturn's at 1 degree of Pisces, so it's within 4 degrees of your Saturn. So when Saturn is at 5 degrees of Pisces, you're going to be really feeling it. I could even pull up my ephemeris and tell you the exact day of like and that's when the real magic comes in with astrology, is when you can look at the exact degree, like when is your Saturn at 5 degrees of Pisces? That's the exact day that you're probably going to be feeling a lot of like, whoa, responsibility, a lot of like maybe limitations, maybe a little bit of restriction, you know? So it's really great to know like what day that is, because you can give yourself some grace. You can give yourself some space to really be Piscean, which your Saturn's in Pisces. So yeah, definitely.
What part of your life does the first house focus on? So
the first house is associated with what's rising in the east when you're born. So like what's showing up there. So your persona, your identity. It's also like kind of what's driving the ship. So you're a Cap rising like me, which is very responsible. It makes sense that you're a business owner, right? Because you are very, very focused on, by the way, Capricorn rising. Capricorns are ruled by Saturn. So your chart is ruled by Saturn. So it's no wonder you started your business at such a young age, you know?
Yes, Your Majesty.
But yeah, like it's very, like it needs to be hardworking. It needs to, you know, but it's interesting seeing the difference of our Cap risings. Like we're both Cap risings with very different people. But there's almost like a modesty sometimes, which I don't see come across with yours. Like you have a little more, that Scorpio comes in strong, and you just like the typical modesty that would come in as being a Capricorn rising, which again, Capricorn rising is a Saturnian energy. Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. There's more of like a reservation or conservative energy to being a Capricorn rising, but because you have all those placements in the Scorpionic, kind of more sexual, more like explorative and free, like you kind of, you know, show up a little bit more in that way, where I think I'm a little more like reserved and, you know, in that way.
Sure.
Button-up shirt kind of energy is a Cap rising.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, it's also appearance, the first house. So how you look. So, you know, being fixated on that. But yeah, there's a lot for you around persona and how you show up in spiritual service. Like that's a big part of your identity, is being of spiritual service to others. No wonder you're a
wedding DJ.
Yeah, a wedding DJ and like a officiant as well. Like that's spiritual service to the max.
I don't do that for a lot of people.
Same.
So,
I did, I officiated a wedding. Oh, one of the protective things I told him was like when he puts on his wedding ring each day, to like really, like, because that's such a value thing, to really take that moment as like to reflect on like protecting your values, was something I told to the men I married.
Cool.
They're goddesses. I'll have to show you them. They're gods, elven kings. They're so beautiful. I'll show you.
Yeah, sorry.
On camera.
Oh, whoa, I almost ate the microphone there.
That's so cool.
Okay, but hold on. Circling back to what you just asked. When you asked about sexuality, did you mean like who you're attracted to sexually? Or
I was
did you
just
mean
wondering like the role
is it
that
affecting how you
plays.
fuck?
Yeah, I mean, and if you're a Saturn and Scorpio too, I just think of that like Scorpionic energy, or maybe your Saturn is conjunct Venus. Like I have a client who is Saturn conjunct Venus, and I think they really limit themselves in love, because Venus is love and Saturn is restriction. So there's like a limitation. So I can see like, oh, they really limit themselves there. There's maybe something hindering them. So yeah, like Saturn, who they're like conjunct with or who they're opposing or squaring in your chart is going to make a big difference, and could impact like who you're attracted to, you know, if like Venus and Mars are like the planets of love and passion. So yeah, that would come into play if you were looking at like the sexual stuff.
Okay. Can Saturn return affect a person's psychic or intuitive abilities? Can it like turn it on?
I mean, I think for like specifically for those who have Saturn in Pisces, because Pisces is such a spiritual energy that's going to impact them a great deal in that way, in that arena. Like how they're tapping into their intuition is going to be a big thing for Saturn and Pisces placements. Saturn gets a rap of like, again, like that sky daddy Saturn thing, but it's actually like divinely feminine in the fact that it can be really yin. It can be really internal, you know, and that internal process is kind of like not in the like the male female, but like in the like receptive energy of the feminine that I'm referring to, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I can help you with your psychic abilities, I think. Especially if it's 8th house, 12th house as well, like where it is in your chart.
Yeah, because I feel like there's got to be some sort of correlation for at least some people that like why is this happening now? And perhaps it's about their Saturn return and they just didn't even know it.
Yeah. Spirituality wise, I would look at Neptune, the planet of spirituality, fantasy, and illusions for that kind of thing as well. But yeah, Saturn could be attached depending on where it is and what sign it's in, for sure.
Cool. Can it relate to other major life transitions like a midlife crisis or menopause?
Yeah, definitely. Like the 50, kind of like 54 as well. Like, yeah, is like your second Saturn return.
Okay.
So absolutely. Yeah.
Is it stronger, weaker, or equal the second time?
I would say, I mean, I've never experienced it. So I always like to like experience the transits before I speak into them too much. But I would say it just depends on what the other celestial bodies are doing when that is happening to you. It could be easier.
It's not like an identical circumstance.
Yeah, it's so personal, right? Astrology is, I think that we have, unfortunately, like astrology is really like broadened and isn't as personal as it could be. And the real gold is like in looking at those exact degrees that I was mentioning before. So, but yeah, you can definitely, there's so much to learn. Cool. Through Saturn return, yeah.
All right. And last question.
Oh, yeah.
How has the occult helped you understand and cope with the mental and emotional challenges that you have faced during your Saturn return? And what advice would you give to others going through this experience?
Advice for your Saturn return. And what did I do during mine? I look back and I just kind of... I feel like it was like a big explosion of things that I knew I just couldn't deal with. Authorities I couldn't deal with anymore. And they just became really clear that I couldn't give away my power anymore. And so if you're going through your Saturn return or you're integrating it, like 33 is like the integration of your Saturn return, I would say just be really gentle with yourself, because when you're in a Saturn return or you're integrating it, like that's the last thing you want to do is just be really tough on yourself. You want to have some grace, because Saturn really calls you to step into being gracious with yourself and being gracious with others. So just breathe, meditate, really surround yourself with that psychic protection like we were talking about before, whether it's like a bubble or a physical structure. Like I think that just visualization can be really key. And that also, like Saturn, it's really interesting, like Saturn and Pisces right now collectively that we're experiencing. I heard this on a TikTok, so this is not from me. I don't know who it was, but you might have seen it. They talked about how like with an oven or a fridge, when it comes to boundaries, which is a Saturnian thing, very much so, they have like these soft cushions along the edges of the like microwaves or your dishwasher or whatever, or even your laundry and dryer. And it's to say that like having those soft edges can actually help you secure those boundaries better. So just being gentle again with yourself and others and just having grace during those Saturn returns.
Cool.
Makes a better seal.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It'll help seal you off to protection. Because I feel like Saturn can make you harden. You don't want that. Be gentle, have grace.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end. And as always, you can find us on social at The Coco Show Pod or thecocoshow.com to listen to all episodes and buy merch. Email me your ye fucking haws and topic suggestions to thecocosshowpod@gmail.com. And as always, we will see you
next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.